top stories that you might have missed out on. What does our day essentially look like? And it's not just going to be newspapers, Hindi, English, regional, you name it, but it's also going to be what the social media is abuzz with. What are some headlines on the tabloids doing? Some live blogs on the internet, threads, Twitter, and some viral videos. We're going to bring it all to you. Of course, we have picked up and selected a couple of stories that we definitely should be focusing on. Manipur is going to be our top focus because it is going to be the top focus in the parliament today as well. So why not talk about that? There is going to be a proper agitation that has been on since yesterday. Sanjay Singh, Aam Aadmi Party Rajya Sabha member of parliament, staged that overnight sit-in, which he also sort of is famous for in his short tenure. I mean, I remember for the longest time he's been on a proper sit-in, and it's not just him, it's the opposition MPs as well, even as they continue to stay firm on the demand, asking the Prime Minister's statement on Manipur. Manipur is going to be that central key focus today in the parliament as well. We've already seen two completely washed out couple of days of the parliament's monsoon session this time around. What is today going to entail? Well, we'll have to wait and find out. In the neighboring state of Manipur in Meghalaya, you've got stark contrast. In Nagaland, you've got a tribal solidarity protest that took place, and the Naga community made sure that the Metis and Kukis in Nagaland held hands together, sent that great and positive message out. On the other hand, in Meghalaya, you've got some Garo Hill civil society groups that have got conglomerated in a mob and attacked the Chief Minister's office. A lot of layers at play over there as well, even as they're demanding for a winter capital in Tura. Conradsangma will play out his reaction. You'll understand where the Chief Minister is coming from, beg your pardon as well. There is a proper row over the Ambedkar portraits in Tamil Nadu courts. However, now the Madras High Court has agreed to the decision of the politicians, the lawyers, the opposition, and various other organizations, society organizations that said, no, we need Ambedkar's portrait also, and it shouldn't just be Saint Tiruvalluvar or Mahatma Gandhi. So status quo has been maintained. This coming in as in a latest from the Madras High Court. We're going to take you across the rain alerts. You name it. Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Gujarat, Junagadh visuals are scary as hell. We'll show you those visuals as well. Odisha is preparing itself for a deep depression and a cyclonic formation that is likely as well. Kerala, for the last 4 days, the schools and colleges remain shut, even as Mumbai today remains on an orange alert. On the other hand, after the rain dissipates, it's the rain-related and rain-borne diseases that come into the picture. Malaria, encephalitis, you name it. In the national capital, there's a complete outbreak of conjunctivitis. So if your hands are feeling a little bit itchy, well, make sure to not take them near your eyes, and especially the younger population, according to doctors in the national capital. Once we're done with that, we'll take you to some international news. Judicial overhaul in Israel and the massive protests that are taking place, detentions and arrests, some striking visuals that have come across from Tel Aviv, and lastly, our little baby Chandrayaan 3, the India's moon mission, our bid to become only the 4th country on this planet to attempt a soft landing on the moon and successfully do it. We're on our way there. Where is our moon mission right now? We're going to bring you a quick update on that. A very warm welcome to Pankaj, who's joining us here on the broadcast. We'll quickly cut across to him. Pankaj, very good morning to you.
Good morning, Kabir. Good morning. How are you today?
I'm doing absolutely fine. I hope you've got your cup of joe, because we've got a lot to traverse through. First and foremost, let's quickly take a look at Manipur. Amit Shah says that he's ready for discussion. The opposition remains firm on their demand of a statement from the Prime Minister. But even in Manipur, some 14 other people have been identified, even as the 7th accused has been arrested in that May 4th viral video case, Pankaj. Some good things that have also happened in Nagaland, like you must have heard in my introduction. Nagaland, the Naga community is making sure that the Kukis and Metis are holding hands together. That picture, resonates to the larger audience across the country. But on the other hand, in Meghalaya, something a little awry has taken place. Albeit, the first relief material-ridden train has reached Imphal from Guwahati yesterday. So a couple of good steps as well. But I'm just here thinking, if there is a final resolution or solution to the problem in Manipur. Is there one? What's the latest that you're picking? Over to you, Pankaj.
Well, a lot has transpired since Home Minister Amit Shah addressed and spoke in Lok Sabha, saying that the government is ready to discuss Manipur in all its, aspects as demanded by the opposition. But it could not break the ice in the parliament. But elsewhere, I would say, as far as the local police is concerned, as far as the identification of more faces goes. And also, the relief train that you're talking about, obviously, that's also one aspect that is there in the morning newspaper. So, which came yesterday by around 3 to 4 p.m., which was received by Chief Minister N. Biren Singh. Now, talking about the latest happenings, status quo is far from arrived as of now, and sporadic violence still being reported in several parts of Manipur. Police presence, as always, has been kept up to the mark, and the demand of the CISF more personnel need to be posted at the Imphal airport is something that the Central Industrial Security Force has made a demand to the Ministry of Home Affairs that should be looked into as far as the increasing the presence of security forces at the Imphal airport is concerned. But having said that, talking about the morning newspapers, there are two, three aspects as how life goes on when you are living either in a relief camp or outside. So, Indian Express, the very first page has two to three mentions of Manipur related stories. Shah says, ready for discussion, opposition firm on statement from Prime Minister. That is one logjam that is still needs to be broken, the deadlock over Manipur. The other aspect is a focus on Manipur, top BJP leadership in huddle. Assam Chief Minister meets Home Minister. Many would wonder, Kabir, that why the adjoining areas like Mizoram, Assam, and Nagaland, they become important in this whole scenario, whole quagmire of events that is plaguing Manipur as of now. It is very important to note that these seven sisters, unlike the long stretches of they are almost bordering the Seven Sisters. Border almost every other state there. So it is very important for people who are migrating from one state to another to escape this onslaught, the turmoil in Manipur. So other states also become story that Indian Express
Pankaj,
has
I'm
mentioned.
just going to quickly show the viewers that, and hear me out here as well. A martyr, ask the camera person to zoom in on this picture here. It says Sub Inspector Pautin Sat Goite had laid down his life fighting the Pakistan Army on LOC in 2020, for which he was honored in with the Kirti Chakra in 2022. Now the BSF has made its business to protect the village of their fallen colleague and thwarted attempts by miscreants to raise the remaining houses. Take a look at this. You've got, it's a small picture. It's a small picture right over here. And this apparently is Manipur's most protected hamlet. BSF Jawans are carrying out the protection drills. This small little house, this small little hamlet happens to be the most protected. That's how worried the BSF also is. But with Essentials' first ever good strain reaches the state, how big of a positive step is this, Pankaj, really?
Well, it is a big step, and I was mentioning that the role of the states, the neighboring states, is very important, both from the humanitarian aspect and from the security part of it. Assam sending supplies to Manipur obviously is an extension of the brotherly relations that these northeastern states, would have with each other. Secondly, the diaspora, the migration that happens both to and fro from Manipur to Assam, Assam to Manipur, that's also there, and other states as well. Assam, obviously a BJP-run state, Himanta Biswa Sarma making it clear that it stands in unity and solidarity with Manipur in this time of crisis, became the first state basically to send a train full of supplies, which, among other things, has supplies to build. temporary shelters, visuals of which we are showing as of now on the screens, and food materials and relief materials are there. This critical aspect of attending to those who have been displaced, 50,000 people
A
was
confidence
the
building
last
measure as well,
estimate.
Pankaj. I mean, it's a great confidence building measure, but the larger Northeast question, I mean, what next for Mizoram? What next for Nagaland? What next for Meghalaya? Even as the Meghalaya Chief Minister's office was attacked. But, take a look at this. This on in the Times of India's newspaper today, it says Assam Manipuri outfit issues tit for tat advisory to Mizos. A small little blurb there says, Zoramthanga pitches for Greater Mizoram, expressing support for a Greater Mizoram through inclusion of Mizo-inhabited areas of Manipur. Mizoram Chief Minister Zoramthanga said, Mizos in Manipur should make a move in accordance with Article 3 of the Constitution rather than coercion. What does this mean for the larger Northeast question? I mean, in Tripura, you've got people demanding for the Greater Tripura land. You've got various kinds of demands in Meghalaya for Tura to be their winter capital, civil society organizations, separate administrations. How does one look at the larger Northeast questions?
Well, see, Northeast, like other parts of the country, when we talk about, say, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, which states which have been bifurcated earlier. These demands have been there. Talking about Darjeeling, also West Bengal, there is, there are voices who want separation from West Bengal and the creation of a separate state. Also, we saw the same thing happening with Uttar Pradesh when Uttarakhand was carved out of it. So these demands based on ethnic lines, based on tribal lines, based on resources allocation lines. Telangana is a classic example. Andhra Pradesh, after a battle for almost over 4 decades, 3 to 4 decades. 2014 was when the state was carved out of Andhra Pradesh. So we have had these examples, and Northeast is also no exception. The question here is when is the right time to actually go for these changes, either for separate administration or for clear demarcation. So delimitation is one aspect that often comes into picture, and that decides on how
Right.
the electorate would be deciding the factors, and also how geographically it is feasible to change the boundaries.
No, you have made a pertinent point over there. Even as we were showcasing those visuals, I mean, look at the imagery over there, Pankaj. You've got BSF, Jawans guarding a hamlet. On the other hand, you've got, the army personnel guarding a football pitch where little children are playing football. I mean, that's the kind of protection, young footballers need in Manipur also. But I'm happy to see that people, children have, started stepping out, and there's some sort of activity that is taking place. Shifting our focus back to the parliament, Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, spoke to Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge on Sunday to break this impasse, but couldn't make much headway per se. In the Lok Sabha yesterday, Amit Shah appealed to the opposition to allow discussion on Manipur, but the Congress insisted that the PM first speak in Parliament on the Manipur crisis. Now, reacting to the exodus of Metis from Mizoram, following a warning, all Assam Manipuri Students' Union asked Mizos in Assam's Barak Valley to leave at the earliest for their own safety. Take a look at these visuals as well. Yesterday, the opposition protested. There was a proper stage-in right near the Mahatma Gandhi statue. Aam Aadmi Party member of Parliament from Rajya Sabha, Sanjay Singh, he's one of those people who always gets suspended from the Parliament. This time again he's been suspended from the Parliament. The other opposition leaders were sitting there in solidarity with his suspension. They wanted a revocation of his suspension. Sanjay Singh's reaction, we have a small reaction of Sanjay Singh. Let's quickly play out that reaction, and Pankaj, I'm going to come pick your brains in terms of what is it that Sanjay Singh does that always lands him up in this suspension closet.
कल पूरी रात हम लोग यहाँ गांधी प्रतिमा के सामने बैठे रहे और पूरा दिन बैठे रहे। हमारी एक ही मांग है भारत के प्रधानमंत्री से कि उनको मणिपुर की हिंसा पे जवाब देना होगा। देश का एक हिस्सा जो हमारा बॉर्डर स्टेट है, ऐसे राज्य के अंदर अगर 80-90 दिनों से हिंसा चल रही है तो प्रधानमंत्री जी खामोश कैसे रह सकते हैं? देश के केंद्रीय मंत्री का घर जला दिया गया, राज्य की महिला मंत्री का घर जला दिया गया, छोटे छोटे बच्चों का कत्ल हो रहा है, बुजुर्गों का कत्ल हो रहा है, नौजवानों का कत्ल हो रहा है, महिलाओं के साथ गैंग रेप हो रहा है। और जो सबसे ज्यादा शर्मसार करने वाली तस्वीर आई, 2 महिलाओं को नंगा करके परेड कराया जा रहा है। उसमें एक महिला है जिसका पति कारगिल युद्ध में हिस्सा ले चुका है। आप कल्पना कीजिए, रिटायर्ड सूबेदार सेना का वो ये कह रहा है कि मैंने कारगिल युद्ध में हिस्सा लेके देश की तो रक्षा कर ली, लेकिन अपनी पत्नी की रक्षा नहीं कर पाया। ये 140 करोड़ हिंदुस्तानियों को शर्मसार करने वाला, उनका सर शर्म से झुकाने वाला बयान है। और हम सब के अंदर अगर जरा सी भी संवेदना है तो आज जरूरत है उस कारगिल के योद्धा के साथ खड़े होने की।
All right, Pankaj, very quickly, what do you think we're expecting in terms of, parliamentary proceedings? We've already have a couple of washed out days. We've earlier had washed out sessions, earlier with the farm laws. Last time around it was suspension of those collection of MPs. This time around it's Manipur. What are you expecting today?
Well, today also it's going to be no different, Kabir, in my opinion. And obviously the fix that is there, which the deadlock that is there, which needs to be broken, is who would blink first, who would speak first. Opposition says that Prime Minister should respond. Home Minister says that he would respond. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla says that it's the jurisdiction of the Home Minister, so he would respond, and he is the right man to do it. But obviously, who would blink first? That's one example. Secondly, the thing is, as far as Aam Aadmi Party's Sanjay Singh is concerned, he has been quite vocal. The one representation that Aam Aadmi Party brings to the parliament in form of Sanjay Singh obviously hasn't been able to do much, but always makes his presence felt, and unfortunately gets expelled for the session. Whether it helps or not, but at least it sends out a message to the not so discerning audience that at least कोई तो है जो आवाज उठा रहा है और देखिए कैसे अत्याचार हो रहा है उन पर. But it has to be done through parliamentary ways, parliamentary proceedings. No matter how much you would, want the government to respond to it, but there are ways and means clearly mentioned in how it has to be done inside the parliament. That's
176 versus rule 267. Does it have to be a short discussion, or do you suspend everything in the parliament to only talk about Manipur? I mean, that's the difference over here. Pankaj, before we shift our focus from Manipur, move into what happened to Meghalaya and how Conrad Sangma, which I think handled the situation very maturely, in my personal opinion. Before that, there are several questions that have now been raised. After over 700 Myanmar nationals, I'm reading an NDTV internet copy. Questions were raised after over 700 Myanmar nationals entered Manipur in over the last 2 days, and there's proper pressure on the army personnel to push back these 715, 718 odd Myanmar nationals back into their border. We've been talking about how the porous border is one of those economic fault lines at play, and the porous border has also helped fester this narco terror nexus and plot in Manipur as well.
Yes, this threat of Myanmar, or for that matter, the proximity of Manipur with Myanmar, is as real as any other threat, and all the states with borders, including, we are talking about Northeast here, but we talk about the western part of the country, say Punjab for that matter, the responsibilities of the state government, become increased many folds. In this situation, 700 people entering Manipur from Myanmar obviously doesn't augur well, but the situation is whether they were, it's a legal entry or an illegal entry that needs to be looked at. Secondly, the poppy business that often comes into picture, whether an alternate route is being tried to establish, that's also there. Thirdly, whether these are the residents of the Manipur itself who are coming back to their homes, thinking whatever they could salvage, they could. and want just the well-being of their family members or loved ones who are there in Manipur as of now. So these aspects are definitely there, Kabir. But the whole thing, as of now, how it boils down is, I would say, pretty sad because things are not improving that much in Manipur as is. But here in Delhi also, the logjam in the parliament is not helping. And who would respond, who would not respond? Again, I would say the same lines कि मेरे रक्त भरे महाकाव्यों के पन्ने उड़ते हैं तुम्हारे हमारे इस झमेले में. This Sarkari Tantra, again, if it fails the people of Manipur, then it will be a double whammy for the Manipuris, because first they have suffered a lot, and secondly, if it doesn't reach any conclusion and just gets lost in in politicizing in here and there, the way
lot of gray,
second wave.
a lot of gray area over here, and we can only hope that we come out better from it, because these are certainly opportunities for us to bounce back stronger, help all of this become and turn it into a learning curve for ourselves. But the bigger question right now, it seems, is the Manipur government seeking a detailed report from the Assam Rifles on how at least 718 Myanmar nationals in just 2 days, July 22nd and 23rd, were allowed to enter India without proper travel documents, according to a statement by the Home Department, which came late yesterday. Sanjay Singh is already there in the parliament. He never left the parliament premises, it looks like. I think he pretty much slept there as well, checking his everyday morning social media. Can start doing some yoga also over here, giving it back to the Bharatiya Janata Party. But we'll have to wait and find out as to what happens in the parliament and Manipur. But some good news that came out of Manipur is the highlight for me, certainly, that relief trade, number one, and that Nagaland made sure that members of the Methi community and the Kuki community held hands together, and even if for a picture's sake, that picture speaks 1,000 words. Let's shift our focus to Meghalaya, Pankaj. Now, what happened in Meghalaya? You know what? I'm not even going to lay bare the details. Give us a sense of what happened in Meghalaya. The Chief Minister's office was attacked. Why? What so? What did Conrad Sangma had to say? We have a reaction, but first and foremost, what are you picking up?
Conrad Sangma very recently made headlines when he shot almost 400, 500 word letter, pinned in a tweet to N. Biren Singh. And we have to also factor in the point that while BJP has its own government in Manipur, Meghalaya, the situation is different. BJP is a far, minuscule supporter there, and Conrad Sangma obviously has, no obligation as of now to toe any particular party's line. So his commentary on Manipur's situation, being a border state, being a state that shares border with Manipur, and also, very importantly, the state is going to elections. So that's why Conrad Sangma shot that letter where he had criticized Biren Singh, where he had clearly questioned that there is something missing. There is something with the intent of the state government that is not helping the cause, and that is not stopping the turmoil that is happening in the state. Now, obviously, on expected lines, the visuals that we are showing as of now and what happened.
But there's a layered approach over here as well, because Conrad Sangma said that he went out, he tried speaking to the people. These people have been on this hunger strike for the longest time. He wanted to listen to the demands, but the stone pelting happened in an unexpected manner. It was almost as if it came out of nowhere, and the people who were on the hunger strike also said that not all of them knew the people who came in on that particular attack. Let's quickly listen in to what Conrad Sangma had to say, and we'll come back for more.
That took place today in Surat, outside the CM Secretariat and the Commissioner of Division's office, is indeed very, very unfortunate. We had discussed with one or two of the groups and NGOs who had concerns and were having fasting for the last many days. And while discussions were going on, we had already agreed on finally meeting in Shillong and discussing this further with all different stakeholders, because the concerns that they have are affecting many communities and affecting the overall state as a whole, and hence these kind of decisions require more consultation. And in the meantime, of course, other development aspects and other works that we have initiated, those would continue at a fast pace, and those matters were discussed. And more or less, these NGOs who had these concerns were more or less satisfied. And I also would like to stress that majority of the stakeholders, civil society and the NGOs were not part of this fasting that took place. There were just 2 organizations, or maximum 3 organizations that were in this, but 90% of the organizations were not part of this. So even then, I felt it appropriate, and I've always believed that dialogue is important, and hence I made it a point to meet them, and that was what was decided. And so while we discussed everything, after the discussion was almost over, we heard some agitation and some sloganing from outside, and I asked some of the people to go and speak to the people and their people and tell them to control and not to create any kind of scene out here. But once the leaders, the NGOs leaders had gone outside to talk to these people, they came back to tell us that they have no idea who these people are.
They have no idea who these people are, Pankaj, and only 2 of those organizations were on this particular hunger strike. And and kudos to the Chief Minister, who even in this tenuous situation, and he knows what's happening in Manipur, he knows the tribal linkage over there as well. He's seeing what's happening in Mizoram and Nagaland. He's written to, like you pointed out, to Biren Singh earlier. He said that the top priority has to be dialogue. Even after this instance, I'm sure I will head out and we will have a conversation, because it will only be resolved via conversation.
Well, definitely. I would say that young chief ministers demonstrate such kind of, tenacity, audacity, and the communion with the masses factor also comes in. And why I say so, because, Kabir, we often end up saying, and we might be deviating here a bit, but just to, share the views. We often say that India's population, half of the population is young, under 25, half the population is born after 1995. I mean, those sort of things. But often we, fail to have a leadership which could demonstrate a certain, sense of mature, pragmatic response to something which might be political in nature, or legal, or related to law and order, but you don't respond with a knee-jerk reaction. Conrad Sangma, obviously, demonstrating one such streak here, because he remained unharmed in the attack. But as we are picking up, he was holding a meeting with representatives of the 2 protesting organizations, Achik, Conscious Holistically Integrated FEMA, called Achik, and the Garo Hill State Movement Committee, GHSMC, and they were discussing the demand to declare Tura as Meghalaya's winter capital. All these things, obviously, might be domestic to Meghalaya as of now, but for it to very quickly turn into, a sentimental issue, or the antisocial elements trying to hijack the situation and trying to send a message to Conrad Sangma, who knows? I mean, as of now, the jury is out, the policemen are looking for the culprits. And but all I say that with Myanmar, with borders, international borders, siding with you, and one state under turmoil, it doesn't augur well for the Northeast, or for that matter any state in these trying times.
Well, certainly. So that's the situation in Meghalaya. I'm just looking at the Tribune as well. It says fresh incidents of arson rock Manipur. Union Minister's house targeted again. Mizoram steps up security for rally. Meghalaya Chief Minister's office attacked. 5 plus cops who've been hurt. Parliament logjam is on. Opposition presses for PM statement. The ruling dispensation says we're ready for a conversation, but our own way and according to the rules of the parliamentary proceedings. We'll have to wait and find out as to how that happens. On the front page, everywhere, Pankaj, it seems it's only Ashok Gehlot, even as you know what happened in the Rajasthan Assembly recently over the minister's sacking and how he alleged that he was thrashed inside the assembly. The Rajasthan House has also passed a bill for the gig workers, but Ashok Gehlot is on the front page of all newspapers pretty much everywhere, and you can already see that the Congress government in Rajasthan is gearing up for the elections in the state later on this year. But let's shift our focus. Rain pain, Pankaj, rain pain, you name it. Mumbai on an orange alert today. Last 4 days, Kerala schools and colleges in most places, 4 major districts shut. Odisha is prepping up for high speed winds and a cyclonic sort of a depression and formation on its coast. Himachal Pradesh is bracing. There's a monsoon spur over there as the IMD has put it under the yellow alert. And Hindon, so many people have been evacuated from there. Rain pain this time around, not just in northeast, northwest, it's across the country.
Yes, Kabir, I think not many parts of the country are there as of now.
These are visuals of Chamoli, Pankaj, for your perusal and for the viewers as well. Visuals from Chamoli. Look at this. I mean, seems like a major road because it has enough space to cater to 2 big buses, but it's completely gone.
Well, when you look at it, Kabir, visuals like these, obviously there are 2 things that come to your mind. First is the nature's wrath so strong that the infrastructure is not able to sustain it. Or secondly, was the infrastructure so weak that it could not sustain this onslaught of the nature. I mean, both ways, the loss proposition is for the residents there, is for the common people there. Now the thing is how it can be stopped. Obviously it's too late as of now, and it is our own folly, our own ways and means of how we treat nature. There were several memes doing rounds, so when a lot of plastic came out of these drains and came out into the homes, so people were saying that nature is taking is giving it back what it got from us. So in that regard, definitely we have to do an introspection. For people like you and me who would be traveling through these roads, traversing through these roads in Mumbai or Delhi or anywhere for that matter, Uttarakhand, basic hygiene is missing. The basic town planning, the role of drains and drainage system is missing, and that's why, as I always say, that it is not going to help if we try to put an iron fence around a tree which is followed by termites. Even if we place several other measures in place to take out the water, the first thing that we should have done, or we should rather do now, is to fix the drains, the drainage system, the water dissemination system, the STPs, the ETPs. All of them should be in place.
And it seems like any kind of future planning is devoid of the fact that it is also going to rain in this area. It seems like the town planners don't consider that it might just end up raining here. Take a look at these visuals, Pankaj, from Junagadh, where the flood-like situation. I mean, it's going to be an understatement if you call this a flood-like situation. Look at the the rescue operations that are taking place.
Well, yes, NDRF has been doing a yeoman's service as far as this calamity and other natural calamities in the country is concerned, risking their own lives, saving every precious life that comes by their side. There we see them again, a human chain, so that people can walk by them. All these things NDRF, you see, I mean, thanks to these selfless workers who are roped in every now and then, be it a landslide, be it the floods, be it excessive cold for that matter, or an avalanche sort of thing. My only concern is for how long would we would be relying on the rescue and relief measure? What about preventive measures? What about stopping this sort of calamity from before happening? This kind of rain obviously is unprecedented, I know, but our infrastructure in this day and age should be able to sustain these. When we talk about buildings, the strength, we talk about how strong an earthquake it could handle. So we
Right.
should be at least trying to touch
Pankaj,
a
these are
threshold.
shots from Telangana, where it's going to rain for the next 3 days, according to the IMD. The weather department sounded a red alert yesterday, predicting extremely heavy rain for certain parts of the state early in the morning. And on the 25th of July, which is today, ever since morning it has been raining there, and it is going to continue to rain there for the next 3 days. I mean, in Hyderabad, life is certainly going to come to a complete standstill.
Yes, Telangana, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, all these four big states down south, they have rain pain as of now coming. Heavy rainfall in north of Kerala.
Prices of
Holidays in
vegetables,
four
price of
districts.
vegetables as well. We've got shots from Kottayam as well. We'll play those shots right now. Visuals from Munnar. I mean, that flower looked really beautiful, but the way the rain is lashing down on Kerala over the last couple of days, also something that is not new for Keralites, but people from Kerala are also worried about the situation. Trees are getting uprooted. We've already seen the kind of death toll these states down south have faced over the last couple of years. But Pankaj, shift your focus towards Hindon as well. 201 meter mark has been crossed in Hindon. 500 people living on the floodplains have been displaced. An ordeal about two teenagers who were evacuated from flooded village returned home to collect their stuff, and then they drowned. This is Kareda, and it's one of the worst affected villages in Ghaziabad, the entire Hindon area specifically.
Right, Hindon obviously is one river which crisscrosses both Uttar Pradesh to a certain extent to Delhi. The tributaries would come to Delhi also, finally merging into the Yamuna. Hindon also, for the benefit of our viewers, Kabir, let me tell, when you mention Ghaziabad, obviously, Hindon, there is an air base also, which is
Right.
named after this particular river only. So Hindon basically crosses the outskirts of Delhi and stays in Uttar Pradesh, and the water level there has also increased, and because of that, those living in the catchment area have got water. This kind of situation is there. What we are showing right now, the water entering their homes. This was anticipated definitely, and you would see that both the UP and the Delhi administration had made elaborate arrangements. Many people were shifted out of those places where there was a possibility of water rushing in. The few that were there obviously haven't been affected that much. The loss of life and property has not been reported. But yes, as far as the water is concerned, again, the same aspect comes here. Water level rising, low-lying areas. So the question is whether we stop people from living in the low-lying areas, because then it will impact their livelihood, their businesses also. Many of them who reside here actually do small, agricultural jobs also. They would produce some vegetables also on the banks of Yamuna or Hindon. If you go and touch upon that raw nerve now, it will backfire. And again, looking at, yes, go ahead.
No, please complete your thought, Pankaj. And again,
Yeah,
looking at
and
what?
looking at once again the vote bank politics, obviously no one
Certainly.
would want to these precious votes. So
No,
obviously
you're
no
absolutely
one
right.
stops them
Vote
from
bank
living there.
politics. I mean, I remember when I was, out there covering the first stint of, Yamuna coming into its, full-fledged form, crossing that 207 meter barrier and mark. The drone footage of right near where our, office premises is, that drone survey has found that more farmhouses have been made on the floodplains since last year. I was there trying to showcase an ordeal of the people who were picking up utensils on their heads and coming from these low-lying areas up onto a higher ground. And on the higher ground, you had a proper swimming pool made for the rich folk who could go there and enjoy. And there actually was a proper water sport game going on when the other people were trying to run away from water in the same vicinity. So, and I was categorically asked not to record that swimming pool, otherwise I would, come into trouble, find trouble. Now, this drone survey has found that more farmhouses have been made on floodplains than last year. I mean, this is all about rampant corruption. If people aren't really going to hit the ground, then how will we find out? But one good news is that the Yamuna level has gone down, and the administration in the meantime remains vigilant. But once these waters, go away, once the water fury dissipates, it's the waterborne diseases that take shape. Conjunctivitis, Pankaj. Take a look at this in the national capital, and especially the NCR area. I'm reading a report that's based out of Noida and Ghaziabad, but the situation is same for Delhi and in Agra and various parts of Uttar Pradesh as well. Treating 100 cases a day on average as conjunctivitis patients are on the rise. What can cause conjunctivitis? Let's quickly take the viewers across that. Viruses and bacteria, including those causing common cold and sexually transmitted infections. There are irritants such as shampoo, dirt, eyelash, contact lenses, and allergens such as pollen, dust mites, and animal skin flakes. Some common symptoms are red or pink eye, swelling of eye lining or eyelid, itchiness or irritation. And the ways to prevent it, ladies and gentlemen, is avoid touching or rubbing your eyes, which is very difficult. Wash your hands often with soap or warm water. Wash your pillowcases, your sheets and towels often, because entire families have gone down. We're seeing some cases in our own office, Pankaj. Treating 100 cases a day on average. These are some visuals that are coming in from Uttar Pradesh right now, but the situation is same in the national capital region, especially in Noida, Ghaziabad and Delhi.
And many of our viewers would be wondering where Varghese is. Then let me also tell them that he is also down with conjunctivitis, and that's why he's not able to come to work. But nonetheless, this problem is real. There is almost an outbreak sort of situation when you go to the nearby hospitals, when you look at the numbers, and the reasons are pretty much clear. There are two factors, giving more impetus to it. The first one is the changing weather patterns. It's sometimes cold, sometimes it's hot, it's raining. And secondly, the water aspect. It is even if you are not near a flooded area, the thing is the way it travels to you by way of fruits and vegetables and milk that you order, the supply person, the kind of stages it goes through. So invariably, that supply of those bacteria is coming at your place. So for the kids, we can always tell them not to touch their eyes and ask them or help them to wash their hands every hour or so.
Right.
Keep the small sanitizer. Many people have always now become habituated of carrying sanitizers and masks.
But that fatigue has also kicked
in,
Pankaj. So, I mean, that's actually a good word of caution that you've let out, because it's highly transmittable in this particular disease. And, keep yourselves clean. Oral hygiene and washing of hands is certainly a must. Pankaj, it's itching me here a little because I really want to talk about this as well, and we're at a positive time here. Israel has passed a law limiting its judiciary. The opposition storms out of the chamber. Protesters call it a power grab fueled by Netanyahu's personal grievances. There are some 15 plus arrests that have been made, several detentions. We've got visuals coming in from Israel. And the protesters, I mean, those sea of, Israel flags is something that is again not new. People have been talking about this judicial overhaul. There were comparisons that were made with the right-wing government over there and the ruling dispensation over here. But how sternly Netanyahu's far-right government is doing what it's doing in Israel is certainly a pain point for at least the people over there, and is a concern for the rest of the world as well, isn't it? I mean, take a look at that. The water gun clearly just hits the guy off that particular block. It's like you can't even raise a voice against the government anymore.
Well, that's what these rules are meant to be. Several newspapers have made it as a headline. Now, Bharat Times says, Israel में सुप्रीम कोर्ट की ताकत कम करने का कानून बना, लोग सड़कों पर. विरोध प्रदर्शन के बीच इजराइल में न्याय व्यवस्था के सुधार के लिए लाए गए बिल पर संसद ने मुहर लगा दी है। वोटिंग के पहले इस बिल के विरोध में जोरदार प्रदर्शन हुए। So basically what is happening is because of these protests, the government wants to take action on it and wants to control the situation. Now the highest judicial body, the Supreme Court of the country, its powers have been reduced, and the parliament, the Israeli parliament, actually ratified it. All of them agreed, including the opposition and the ruling party, that this Supreme Court's power should be reduced so that people can't go to the higher courts and stall the proceedings and maybe get away with that. So this rise of, well, that visual was actually, I mean, I had missed it in the first go, but the guy was completely blown away by that water cannon. Look at this. This is, taking the government head on, and the reaction, obviously.
I mean, I know why you're smiling. It looks a little funny, but big ups to the man over there who took it on his chest, on his face. Well, we'll have to wait and find out, how this entire judicial overhaul pans out in the state of Israel. There are several groups that are again planning to protest and rock Tel Aviv with the flags. They're not going to back down. If the government isn't backing down, the people aren't backing down either, Pankaj. And, before we shut off this segment, like I promised, every day bringing you an update of where our moon mission baby is right now. Where is it headed? Where is it right now? Pankaj, what are you picking up in terms of, the Chandrayaan 3's update? It seems to be the final Earth-raising, orbit maneuver, and India's moon mission is finally heading toward the lunar trajectory. So, I mean, we're inching closer and closer to that record of being only the fourth nation to attempt a successful soft landing on the South Pole, the dark side of the moon.
Thrusting simultaneously, generating a peak thrust of close to 6,000 kilonewtons in vacuum.
Well, it seems like we've lost our connection with Pankaj over there. Chandrayaan 3, that's the latest update that we're getting. I'll just apprise the viewers on it. It is set to perform its final Earth orbit raising maneuver and is ready for its trans-lunar insertion. August 23rd, we're inching closer to that particular date. According to the Indian Space Research Organization, everything is happening on point. To August 23rd, we should expect our soft landing on the dark side of the moon. Well, fingers crossed as of now, and we can only hope that good sense prevails. Best of luck to the team and to our lander and rover up there in the space somewhere. That's all the time we have for you today at 11 a.m. Rolling coverage on Manipur begins again. Next up, we're getting you news from the world of business. Later on in the afternoon, the South Indian, the biggest news from the south of India. At 7 p.m., the real point, the biggest news point of the day, a debate, a balanced debate, discussion on the same. And at 8 p.m. in the evening, Global Lens, the top story from around the world. That's what we have for you. Keep on getting down in the comment sections as we try to break these newsroom walls and help you become part of our editorial meet. And we're really glad that you're taking the initiative to join us as well. That's all the time we have for you. Keep watching Newsline.
BrahMos, stealthy, lethal, precise. It flies at 3 times the speed of sound and cuts through a warship like a hot knife through butter. China's Navy